Hey, it's Amy Newmark. I'm off this week because I'm taking a staycation, something I've always recommended to our readers and never actually tried myself. I hope you enjoy some of my favorite episodes this week, and I'll see you next week.
Changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration to make you simply happy. We talked about Richard Simmons on Friday and his very sensible approach to fitness and weight loss. Richard was for regular people. And that's what I want to talk about today on Motivational Monday. Fitness for regular people. This story comes from the book that I made a few years ago that Richard wrote a foreword for. It's called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Shaping the New You. And in this story, Debbie Acklin tells us that her family was very active. They loved going on adventurous vacations, but she never felt like she could keep up with the rest of them. While the rest of them climbed to the very top of a Mayan pyramid, she only made it halfway. While they made it to see all the artwork on the sides of the Horseshoe Canyon in Utah, she didn't get to see all of it. And her most humiliating failure was when she was sitting on a mountainside in Arkansas, once again unable to keep up with her family, and an old man who was carrying an umbrella to shield himself from the sun went right by her and easily made his way to the summit. Debbie said she was always telling her family to go on without her, and she was sick of getting left behind, so she resolved that she was going to do something about it. She says, "Sure, I was in my 50s, overweight, and obviously out of shape, but if an old man with an umbrella could skip to the top of a mountain, surely there was still hope for me." So Debbie decided she would train to walk a half marathon, which is 13 miles. She bought the appropriate gear. She even researched what kind of drinks would be handed out at the marathon, and she bought the same kind of drinks, and she said, "I'll drink these while I'm training." But then she didn't do it. And 2 years later, she sat and watched the marathon instead of being in it. So she really felt like a failure. She hadn't met her weight goal. She hadn't met her fitness goal. But then she realized something. She hadn't climbed to the very top of that Mayan pyramid, but she had climbed halfway. Not everyone could do that. And she had a great view from up there, and she had learned what it must have been like during the Mayan Empire to be on one of those pyramids. And yes, she had failed to reach the top of that mountain in Arkansas, but she had almost made it to the top, and from where she stopped, she still had a wonderful view of the countryside and the Arkansas River, and she had gotten plenty of exercise that day. And she realized she might have failed to see all of the artwork and the great gallery in Horseshoe Canyon, but she had hiked almost 2 miles down a steep trail in the canyon. She had hiked 3 more miles through a sandy wash to see the galleries, and then she had hiked 2 miles back up the canyon wall. She wasn't exactly sitting in the car, even if she hadn't made it the whole way. She had actually hiked 7 miles that day, and they were tough miles. So Debbie realized that, yes, she had failed to meet her weight loss goal, but she had lost 43 pounds, which is pretty fabulous. And yes, she hadn't walked 13 miles fast enough to enter that half marathon, but she could walk 13 miles slowly if she wanted to, which is still pretty wonderful. She realized that all of her supposed failures were actually sounding pretty good. In fact, they sounded suspiciously like a success story. And that's why she called her story Success by Failure. Now, I had chosen a quote to go at the beginning of that story in that book, and it was from the American soccer player Danielle Fotopoulos. She said, "Even if I don't reach all my goals, I've gone higher than I would have if I hadn't set any." So that's the message for us today as we sit here in March, thinking about New Year's, which is now well behind us, and now looking forward to summer, which is right around the corner with bathing suits. So let's make sure we give ourselves credit where credit is due. Tomorrow is Tip Tuesday, and we're going to talk about changing perspective again, this time about realizing that we are brave enough and flexible enough to try new things and enjoy them. I'm Amy Newmark. Thanks for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. If you'd like to learn more about this book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, Shaping the New You, please check it out on our website, chickensoup.com.